Hello and welcome back to the deep dive. It's just wonderful to have you with us today, whether you are driving to work, maybe you're out for a run, or just settling in at home with a coffee. We are really glad you're here. Today, we have a session that is going to be a little different from our usual stuff. Normally, we are looking at the world around us, right? Like science, history, technology. But today, we are turning that lens completely inward. We are looking at the mechanics of how we think, and specifically how we speak about the things we regret.
Yes, and I must say, I am entirely too familiar with the concept of regret today.
Yeah.
I am having quite the morning.
Whoa, okay. You sound incredibly stressed out over there. That wasn't just a regular greeting. Is everything all right?
It is the train. It is just the train.
The train, you mean your commute into the studio this morning?
The 8 a.m. train into the city. I missed it.
Oh, I see. You missed your train. That is annoying, sure, but I mean, you sound absolutely devastated.
I arrived at the station at 5 a.m. 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes late. I ran up the stairs, I could hear the whistle blowing, and I got to the platform just in time to see the taillights fading into the distance. The train left at 8 a.m. sharp. I just stood there watching the empty track, completely out of breath, holding a coffee I didn't even want anymore.
Ugh, that visual is just painful, the fading taillights. It is the absolute worst feeling being just a few seconds too late.
It was not just the train, though. It is the domino effect.
Yeah.
Because I missed that train, I missed the morning briefing. Because I missed the briefing, I was not there to present the proposal. And because I missed the proposal, well, let's just say the contract is gone. It is a complete disaster.
Oh, wow. I am so sorry. That escalated so quickly from being 5 minutes late to losing an entire contract. That sounds incredibly frustrating. And I know this is super annoying to hear right now, looking at it logically. You cannot change it now, right? It is history. It is done. The train is gone.
But I want to change it. That is the problem. My brain refuses to accept the reality of this situation. In my mind, I keep rewinding the clock. I cannot help it. I play the movie backward. I see myself waking up. I see myself skipping the coffee shop. I keep saying it to myself over and over again. If I had woken up earlier, I would have caught the train.
And there it is, that exact phrase, that feeling right there, that desperate desire to rewind the clock and fix the mistake. That is exactly what we're unpacking today in this deep dive. Welcome, everyone, to the heaviest, most emotional grammar in the English language.
Indeed. It is the grammar of the impossible.
Today, we are not talking about the future. We aren't even talking about a fake present, like pretending you won the lottery or became a superhero. We are doing something completely different. We are time traveling.
Precisely. We are looking backward. We are looking at a door that is permanently closed, locked tight, rusted shut entirely, and we are imagining what was behind it. Today, we mastered the third conditional.
This is a big one. This is the grammar of regret. It is the grammar of what if. And I know for a lot of learners, and honestly, even for native speakers, when they really stop to think about it, this structure looks intimidating. It looks long. It looks complicated. But remember, our primary goal here on the deep dive, connection, not perfection. We are going to break this down so small, piece by piece, that by the end of this hour, you will be rewriting history right alongside us.
We must start with the logic. Before we worry about the words, the verbs, or the participles, we must understand the situation. The third conditional is unique because of where we are standing in time.
Right. And to understand it, we have this really great metaphor that you like to use, the metaphor of the doors. You have used this before to explain the other conditionals, haven't you?
Yes, I find that thinking of the conditionals as doors helps us visualize exactly where we stand relative to the event. English grammar is really just a map of time. Let's review quickly so we can see the difference, because if you confuse the doors, you confuse the meaning completely.
Okay, let's go back into our archives for a second. We did a deep dive on the first conditional recently.
The first conditional is an open door. Picture it in your mind. You are standing in front of a door that is wide open. You can see through it. You can walk right through it. The future can still happen. If it rains, I will stay home. It is entirely possible. It might rain. It might not. The door is open.
Got it. Open door. Real life. Real possibilities. Then we moved on to the second conditional.
The second conditional is a dream door. This one is tricky. It looks like a door, but it is painted on a solid brick wall. It is not real. It is a fantasy. If I had $1 million, I would buy a castle. You don't have $1 million. You're standing in the present looking at a fake door. But, and this is the key point, we're still looking at the present or the future. It is a dream about right now.
Okay, so first conditional is real future. Second conditional is dream present. Now tell us about today, the third conditional.
The third conditional is a locked steel door. It is the past. The event is over. It is dead and buried. You cannot open the door. You cannot change what happened. You are standing there staring at the cold steel, and you are only hypothesizing. You're telling a story about a past that simply did not happen.
That is such a powerful visual. A locked steel door. That explains your mood this morning perfectly. You are standing on that platform, staring at the empty track. That empty track is the steel door.
Exactly. I cannot catch the train. It is physically impossible.
Yeah.
But I can imagine catching it. And because the event is so deep in the past, because it is so entirely removed from our current reality, English grammar demands that we use the deepest past tenses we have available to describe it.
This is where we get into the heavy part you mentioned earlier. The structure of the sentence is massive. It feels like we are building a massive bridge back in time.
It is massive. To build a bridge to a reality that does not exist, we need two distinct grammatical structures. We have the if half of the sentence, which is the condition, and the result half of the sentence, which is the consequence.
Let's take them one by one. For everyone listening, do not try to memorize the whole thing at once. Let's just look at the condition, the if part. This is our foundation.
The if half uses the past perfect tense.
The past perfect. Now, we hear this term a lot in textbooks, but let's unpack it. What does it actually look like?
We must unpack it. The past perfect is formed by using the auxiliary verb had, H-A-D, plus the third form of the verb, which we call the past participle.
Had plus the third form. Okay, let's stick with your train story from this morning. The verb is to wake.
Yes. So let's look at the forms. Present is wake, past simple is woke, and the past participle, the third form, is woken.
Wake. Woke. Woken.
Correct. Now, to build the past perfect, we take the helper had and add woken. So the phrase is, if I had woken up earlier.
If I had woken up, I want everyone listening to just think about that sound for a second. It isn't just if I woke up. That would be the second conditional, the dream about now. This is if I had woken up. It sounds deeper, doesn't it? It has a weight to it.
It creates distance. It pushes the event much further away from the present moment. It explicitly tells the listener, this is history.
Let's look at another example to make sure we have this pattern locked down. Imagine a student who failed a test last week. The test is over. The grade is permanently in the book. The door is locked. She wants to change the past. The verb is to study.
Okay, to study. This is a regular verb, which makes it a bit easier.
Right, regular verbs end in ed. So study, studied. And the third form is also studied.
Correct. So we apply the formula, if plus had plus studied,
If she had studied.
if she had studied harder.
Okay, that is the first half. That is the condition. We have built the first half of the bridge. But a bridge that only goes halfway is entirely useless. We need the result. What would have happened?
For the result half, we need a special structure. We use would have plus the third form of the verb.
Would have. That is the magic key. That is the phrase that signals to everyone we are entering the imagination.
Yes, would have. It signals that imaginary result in the past. So, returning to my tragic morning, the verb is to catch.
To catch. Okay, irregular verb. Catch. Caught. Caught.
Correct. So the result structure is, I would have caught.
I would have caught the train.
Exactly. Now, let's put it all together. This is the monster sentence. Listen carefully to the rhythm.
Go for it.
If I had woken up earlier, I would have caught the train.
If I had woken up earlier, I would have caught the train. That is a mouthful. That is a lot of syllables to get out in one breath.
It is. It is long, it is heavy, and it requires a significant amount of mental energy. But, my friend, it is the only way to express true regret in English. There is no shortcut for the grammar if you want to be completely accurate. If you want to convey that feeling of looking at the locked door, you must use this structure.
And it isn't just about trains, obviously. It is about anything in the past.
Anything at all. Let's go back to our student. If she had studied harder, she would have passed the test.
It is a formula. It is basically math at this point. If plus had plus verb 3, then would have plus verb 3.
Exactly. It is a rigid structure. Once you know the formula, you can plug in any verb you want.
Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now. That is a lot of words to say in a row, and you are right. But before we get to how we say it fast, and we will get there, I promise we need to talk about the logic again. Because there's a trick here, a mental trap.
There is a very significant trick. We call it the logic flip, or sometimes the double negative.
Oh, I love this part. It's like a puzzle. It forces you to think in two timelines at the exact same time.
It is absolutely a logic game. You see, when we use the third conditional, we are describing the opposite of reality. We are imagining a world that does not exist. So the grammar often flips from positive to negative, or from negative to positive.
Let's break that down slowly so we don't lose anyone. Let's go back to the student who failed. What is the reality? What actually happened in the real world?
Right, let's look at the facts. The cold, hard reality. Fact number 1, she didn't study. That is negative. She did not do it.
Okay, she didn't study. Negative fact.
Fact number 2, she failed the test. That is the bad result.
She didn't study. She failed. That is the timeline we are living in right now.
Now, to fix this in our imagination, to build our time machine, we have to flip the facts. To change the past, we have to imagine she did study.
So we go from didn't study to if she had studied. We flip from negative reality to positive imagination.
Exactly. If she had studied, now look at the result. In reality, she failed. So in our imagination, in our perfect hypothetical world, she would not have failed.
Ah, I see it now. We flip the result too. Real failure becomes imaginary success.
Or in this specific case, imaginary not failing. So the full sentence is, if she had studied, she wouldn't have failed.
You see the flip there. Reality is negative and negative. The conditional is positive and negative. If she had studied, she wouldn't have failed.
That mental gymnastics is the hardest part for most learners. You have to know the truth, hold it firmly in your head, and then completely reverse it as you speak.
Let's try it with a survival scenario. A disaster you escaped. Let's raise the stakes a bit.
Okay, let's look at the car accident. Here are the facts. I wore my seatbelt. Positive fact.
You wore it. Good. Very smart.
Result, I survived the crash. Positive result.
You wore it. You survived. That is the reality. Now let's imagine the disaster. Let's imagine the alternate universe where you made a terrible mistake.
So we flip wore to negative. Reality is, I wore it. Imagination is, if I hadn't run it.
If I hadn't worn my seatbelt.
And we flip survived to the bad result.
Yeah.
Reality is, I survived. Imagination is, I would have died.
If I hadn't worn my seatbelt, I would have died.
Precisely. Negative condition, hadn't worn, leads to a positive, or rather, a factual assertion of death in the imagination. It is a perfect mirror image of reality.
If I hadn't worn my seatbelt, I would have died. That is intense. But it shows why this grammar is so important. You cannot tell that dramatic story without it. You can't just say, I wore seatbelt, I survive. It doesn't have the same emotion, the same profound gratitude as if I hadn't.
Correct. It allows us to explore the why. It allows us to understand consequences. It allows us to truly feel the weight of what almost happened.
And one small detail before we move on, we can change the order, right? We don't always have to start with if.
Yes, just like the other conditionals, you can put the result first. If you do that, you simply drop the comma in writing.
So I would have caught the train if I'd woken up earlier.
Exactly. The meaning is absolutely identical. I would have died if I hadn't worn my seatbelt. It is just a matter of emphasis. Sometimes you want to hit the listener with the dramatic result first.
Okay, so we have the logic, which is the locked door. We have the formula, which is if plus had plus V3, then would have plus V3. And we have the logic flip.
We have the textbook version, yes.
Yeah.
We have built the perfect grammatical structure.
And this is a really big, but if our listeners go into a coffee shop or a bar or their workplace and they speak exactly like this, what happens?
They will be understood perfectly. Their English will be considered excellent.
They will be understood, sure, but how will they actually sound?
Well, perhaps a bit formal, a bit stiff.
A bit. They are going to sound like a Shakespearean actor. If I had woken up earlier, I would have caught the train. It is too much. It is way too heavy for a casual chat about being late.
You are right, of course. The textbook is the foundation. But the street is where the language actually lives. And the street does not like to waste time.
Exactly. And this is where the connection part of our philosophy comes in. Native speakers, well, we are lazy, or efficient, if you want to be nice about it. We crush this grammar. We crush the third conditional right into dust.
You certainly do. The words seem to disappear entirely. The structure remains, but the sounds change completely.
We speak it so fast that if you were listening for would have, you might completely miss it. We need to train your ears right now to hear the ghost of the grammar.
So guide us. How do we reduce these massive structures? How do we take this monster sentence and make it fit in a casual pocket?
Let's start with the result half, would have. In the textbook, it is two clear, crisp words. I would have gone.
I would have gone.
Step one is contraction. Would have becomes would.
I would gone. That is standard. You see that in writing all the time.
That is better. But on the street, in the U.S., honestly, even in the U.K., we take it a step further. We don't even say the V sound. We turn it into a schwa, a sort of grunt. Would have becomes woulda.
Woulda. W-L-D-A.
Woulda. I would have gone. I would have seen it. I would have told you. It sounds like one single word. Woulda.
It is grammatically informal, but phonetically essential.
Mm.
If you don't know woulda, you will not understand a native speaker telling a story at a party. They aren't going to carefully enunciate I would have. They will say I woulda.
Exactly. Listeners, wherever you are, try saying it. Just make the sound. Woulda.
I woulda.
Now, let's look at the negative. This one is crazy. This is where the language really starts to bend and break. Would not have.
I would not have done that.
Yeah.
Very formal, very serious.
First step, wouldn't have.
I wouldn't have. Still quite clear.
Street step, wouldn't have. We just smash it all together. The had to disappear straight into the net. Wouldn't have.
Wouldn't have. It is almost a grunt. It requires a very specific movement of the tongue.
Oh.
I wouldn't have done that.
I wouldn't done that. It is 3 full words becoming one single sound. Wouldn't have.
It sounds like an engine trying to start in the cold. Wouldn't have.
Exactly. And what about the if half? The past perfect. We don't say if I had very often in casual speech.
No, we smack that too.
Yeah.
We take the pronoun,
Yeah.
like I or she, and we glue the had right onto it.
So if I had becomes
If I'd.
if I'd. Listen to that. It sounds like the word idea, but without the E at the end. If I'd.
If I'd known. If I'd seen him.
And if she had.
If she'd called.
So let's hear the full natural speed version of a sentence. Let's use the cake example. It is an absolute classic.
Okay. Textbook first.
Textbook first. Give me the full Shakespeare version.
If I'd known you were coming, I would have baked the cake.
Beautiful, formal. Now
Yeah.
street speed. Use if I'd and woulda.
If I'd known you were coming, I would have baked a cake.
If I'd known, I woulda. Listen to the rhythm there. Da-da-da-da-da-da. If I'd known, I woulda.
It flows. It bounces along nicely.
It does. It removes the breaks from the sentence completely. If I'd known, I would have baked.
This is a crucial warning, however. We must play the expert for a moment here. You must never write woulda in an email to your boss.
Oh gosh, no. Please do not do that. Do not put woulda in a contract or a professional report.
It is for listening and speaking only. It is spoken grammar, but you absolutely must train your ears to hear it, or you will miss the entire conversation.
Connection, not perfection. If you say would have, it is totally fine. People will understand you. But if you don't understand woulda when someone else says it, you are lost.
Shall we put this into practice? I think it is time to stop talking about the theory and start doing the actual work.
I totally agree. It is time for the deep rewind.
We are going back in time. We are going to actively fix our mistakes.
Okay, listeners, here is how this works. We call this the drill. We are going to use our 3-second rule.
I will give you the harsh reality, the bad thing that happened, the locked door.
Then we will give you 3 seconds of actual silence. In that silence, I want you to speak out loud. I don't want you to just think the answer in your head. I want you to say it. Your mouth needs to physically feel the grammar. I want you to rebuild the past using the third conditional.
Then I'll give you the correct answer so you can check your work.
Don't just listen passively. You have to speak. If you are on the train, just whisper it. If you are alone in your house, shout it. If you are walking the dog, mutter it to yourself. Just get the words out.
Are you ready? Let's begin. Drill number 1. The umbrella.
Here is the reality. You forgot your umbrella, you got wet.
Fix the past. Tell me what would have happened if you remembered. Use if I had and wouldn't have. I will give you 3 seconds now. 1, 2, 3. The answer is, if I had remembered my umbrella, I wouldn't have gotten wet.
Did you get that? Let's break it down real quick. We flipped forgot, which is reality, to had and remembered, the imagination. And we flipped got wet, reality to wouldn't have gotten wet.
Let's try it again. Focus on the structure. If I had, I wouldn't have.
Next one. Drill number 2. The alarm. This is for the person who is late for work.
Reality. He didn't set his alarm. He was late for work.
Fix the past for him. Use if he had. 1, 2, 3.
The answer is, if he had set his alarm, he wouldn't have been late.
If he'd set his alarm, he wouldn't have been late. Notice the contractions we naturally use there. If you'd, wouldn't have. Try to squeeze them in if you can handle the speed.
Drill number 3. Let's try a relief scenario. Something good happened, but I want you to imagine the disaster. These are sometimes the scariest ones to think about. Okay.
Reality. We used GPS. We didn't get lost.
Imagine the disaster. Imagine the world without the GPS. Use if we hadn't used and would have. 1, 2, 3. The answer is if we hadn't used GPS, we would have gotten lost.
We would have gotten lost. That is a scary thought. Imagine being completely stranded in the middle of nowhere. But hey, you got the grammar right.
One final challenge, the street speed challenge. I want you to go fast.
Ooh, the hard one. No Shakespeare allowed here.
Reality. You didn't tell me, so I didn't help you.
I want you to use the contractions. Use if you'd and I would. Fix the past. Go. 1, 2, 3,
The answer is, if you'd told me, I would helped you.
If you told me, I would help you. Listen how fast that is. If you told me.
Excellent work. That requires real mental agility to pull off.
Take a breath, shake it out. That was intense. That was a serious mental workout. You just did like 10 minutes of heavy lifting for your brain.
It was. But look at what you have achieved. You can now safely look at the past.
You don't have to be afraid of those regrets anymore. You have the actual tools to explain them. You have the tools to say, hey, if I had done this differently, this is what would have happened.
You can look at the locked door, acknowledge it, and describe what is behind it with perfect accuracy. You are no longer trapped by the past. You are the narrator of it.
And remember, it totally takes time. You might mix up had and have sometimes. You might say if I would have instead of if I had. That is honestly a really common mistake, even for native speakers.
It is indeed. But keep practicing the if I'd woulda rhythm. If you get the rhythm right, the grammar often follows naturally.
The conditionals are now complete. We have conquered cause and effect across time.
We did. First, second, and third. We are time travelers. We can talk about the future, the dream present, and the locked past.
But there is a twist.
There is always a twist with you. What is it this time?
If you noticed, up until now, the sentences we use always identify who did the action. John broke the window. Mary ate the cake. I missed the train.
Right. Subject, verb, object. That is standard English. That is how we traditionally tell stories.
But what happens when the window is broken, but we don't know who did it? Or maybe we do know who did it, but we just don't want to say.
Or what if we simply don't care who did it? What if the important thing is just the broken window itself?
Exactly. What if the object is way more important than the subject?
That requires a completely different perspective on the language. You have to flip the sentence structure entirely on its head.
That sounds mysterious and a little bit tricky.
It is our next deep dive.
The passive voice.
We are going to flip the world upside down next time. We are going to stop looking at the doer and start looking at the done to.
I cannot wait. It is going to be a whole new way of seeing sentences. But for now, you have some homework.
Yes, a clear, non-negotiable speaking task. You cannot just listen to this deep dive and then forget it.
I want you to find one regret from yesterday. Just a small one. It doesn't have to be a tragedy. Maybe you ate too much pizza. Maybe you stayed up way too late watching TV. Maybe you forgot to call your mom.
Take that regret and flip it. Use the third conditional structure. If I hadn't eaten that pizza...
I would have felt better.
Exactly. Say it out loud to yourself 3 times.
3 times. Make it real. Make it personal. Put it in your own context.
If you do that, you will truly own the grammar. It won't just be a rule in a book. It'll be a tool in your everyday life.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We know this was a really heavy topic, but you handled it beautifully. We are so proud of the work you are doing.
Keep unlocking those doors. Keep practicing.
See you next time.